Hello everyone, my name is Corrina from Soundiron, and today we will be taking a look at the Alto Xylophone. This instrument was really fun to build a composition off of because there's a wide variety of timbres and tones, from percussive elements to ambient elements, and so I tried to incorporate a little bit of everything into this sample track. So let's take a listen first, and afterwards I will share a little bit of my thought process behind each track. So I started with the more percussive sounds in this instrument pack, and I reached for a preset called Motor Fire. What I first did was I put an arpeggiator on top of it because I wanted to give it some extra rhythmic bounce and complexity. And so this is what it sounds like without the arpeggiator, and then I'll turn it on so you can hear the difference. So with the arpeggiator, it just feels like there's more groove, there's more consistency, but it also propels you forward in a very intuitive way. When I was listening to this rhythm, it really opened up a picture of some sort of dry land, almost like a desert of sorts. Sometimes translating visual into audio is a really great exercise to create a sonic environment for our listeners. So after setting down a percussive sort of groove, I wanted to give it a melodic quality to it. And so then I went to Horizon Mw. I also used an arpeggiator because I was kind of on a roll with that. And so this is what that one sounds like by itself. It's rhythmically playing with Motor Fire, and so it gives a little bit of excitement to the listener. Because Horizon Mw starts on an offbeat of sorts, it provides this more playful energy when it's mixed with Motor Fire. And then next, I really wanted to layer some sort of harmony to Horizon, and so I reached for Dance Party. It's a much thinner tone, there isn't that like mid-range body to it, and so I thought it would be an interesting texture contrast to Horizon Mw, which is a lot rounder and a lot warmer. I kept the relative harmonic distance between the notes, but I just shifted the pitch a lot higher, and I found a harmony that was interesting when you contrast it with Horizon Mw. So this is what it sounds like together. It gives a slight dissonance to it, but because it's so small and subtle, it's more of an intuitive, unsettled feeling. I chose to keep Dance Party pretty sparse throughout this track because I only wanted it to show up when it could be heard, and I didn't want it to clash with the melody line, which is this track underneath. And so if you notice, like in terms of spacing, I don't play this dissonant harmony while these instruments are in play. On to the next one, Plucky Mutes Mw. I did a little bit more of a sound design on this one. Originally, this instrument sounds like this. Kind of sounds like a woodblock. But I wanted to give it a more interesting character that kind of fits this quirky, percussive character that we've been building so far. And so I decided to add Valhalla Supermassive, and then also I automated a tremolator. I automated the frequency amount using this button here and Ableton's automation features to kind of play around with how wide and how much the LFO would work. So with all of these new plugins added together, the instrument now sounds like this. Gives it a really cute and quirky element to it that I think fits with the rest of the track. Moving on to the next track, I really wanted to explore some of the more ambient and more pad-like features of this instrument, and so I looked at this one called Serenity Mw. I was really into this desert metaphor by this point, and so this instrument sort of nailed that concept in place. This is what that sounds like. So essentially, Serenity Mw uses Axtrionic 11, one of the 20 ambiances you can choose from in this instrument. And I really liked it because it kind of gave this sandy, grainy texture. And what I did in addition was I EQ'd out the really high frequencies and the lows and the mids to kind of further thin it out. I used Soundtoys' sort of distortion plugin to give it a little bit of grit and to give it that feedback that you can hear when it's sustained. And then on top of that, to add thickness, I used an upper octave and a lower octave using the same notes. Lastly, I decided to use the original Alto Xylophone, and I wanted to add some texture, some sort of way to maintain interest in this track. And I thought that when this more desert-like long sustained notes came through, it was a good time to introduce something else. And so this is what that sounds like by itself. So I think in this case, it functions a little bit like a hi-hat of sorts that's like scuttling around in your head, that you're not really paying attention to the notes, but what you're feeling and you're hearing is like kind of the more percussive rhythmic elements of it. I put Soundtoys' Echo Boy to give it a little bit of delay, and I used a free chorus called Tal Chorus to give it a little bit of a wider audio vision. So that's pretty much it for this track. I hope that this was inspiring to you as you create music for other visual sources, or even just trying to create an environment or landscape in mind. I hope this would give you some ideas on how to realize that in the audio space. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.